All right, I'm back. I had that video going for about 4 or 5 minutes earlier on this project, and I had to interrupt it. We had some stuff we had to take care of, but I'm back, and I'm going to get through what we wanted to talk about with this particular video. And where I was I was explaining how you get this piece here and get this piece cut. I don't want to use the word perfectly, but we're close to being perfect on this. And what I did is I took a piece of glue chip, which is what we're using for the background on this thing, and I took a piece of it and I measured. Let's get our measurement here. And I measured a piece, and I think it was about 17 or 18 inches long, which is more than enough to do this length. And then I measured the width of this particular piece is just under 5 inches, and it's about 6.5 inches that way. So what I did is I stripped off a piece of the glue chip, 5 1/4 inches, which is just enough to get this. So I've got a rectangular piece of glue chip now, 5 1/4 by about 17. Okay, I set it in here, and it had because it was cut correctly, it had a perfect 90-degree angle here. This side and this side were a perfect 90. So I set that inside of here. Then all you need to do then is come over and look down at your cartoon and take this Sharpie Ultra Fine and mark out exactly where you want to cut that piece. And bear in mind now, we're not going to cut these separately yet. We're going to cut this whole thing all at one time. What that does for you is that gets these pieces here perfectly lined up as they come down this line here. And that's real key, because off of that perfect line goes these other three. If you're going to cut these pieces one at a time, it's a little more difficult to get them get them in perfect alignment as we come on down this far. All right, so once I mark that out, then I mark this line out, and then I gave myself an additional here where I came across here. I marked this about 1/4 out and about 1/4 out. Went over, and I didn't cut this part here yet. I came down through here and cut straight off of there. We're leaving this because as we put this thing together, it'll grow just a little bit because of the foil. So we don't want to make this last cut yet. And that's when I then mark it here, set that piece, foil it, and come in here, set this piece and foil it, and see where you are on this line. Mark that, set it, and then when you get down to this one, now you know you can get a perfect fit here, because these considerations here, the foil considerations between these two, have already been made. And you come here, and now all you need to do is mark this and that, cut that, foil this one, and set it in. So that's how, if you look at this, how we're right on the cartoon line and right on the cartoon line here. And now to further add to getting these ribbons nearly perfect, I then erased this line here because I just didn't feel like I was in the perfect 10 millimeters all the way, and I went and redrew this line. Let me get it around here. You actually got to do it this way. Okay, and you can look down and see that 10. And I put the little dots and redrew that 10 millimeter line all the way there. And once you have this one done, then you can go in and make the next one and the next one. So that's how we're going to get started with this. Now, rather than put these in, I want to go ahead and work on this area down here first. And we'll start out probably getting I don't know how much of this done. Maybe we'll do the whole thing, who knows, before I take off and run up this direction. So let's just go ahead, and I'm going to show you this one piece at a time method here. And I've shown this in many different videos, we're going to show it again. So where I'm at with this thing is the bulk of all of this ribbon work is going to be this glass. Now it looks, oh man, it's too dark. When we get this in the light, and it's a gorgeous emerald green. And that, I've had real good experience with this glass. This glass is just perfect for this glue chip background. And then we're going to have the pink cranberry flowers in and the off-colored leaves. And there'll be enough other color in here that it'll tone this strong green down just a little bit. So what we're going to do is let's cut a strip off that. Let me get to whichever cutter I want to use here. And I've gone back to this Fletcher. I think maybe I'll be using both of these. I'll be using the Fletcher small wheel. That's 01229 Fletcher glass cutter. And this thing's the Silberschnitt 2000. And for those of you that, well, I'll show you how to use that thing. I mean, it's just a glass cutter, right? Here's another one, a brand new one. And this one is still in its box here. SIL 5000, whatever that means. And then this looks like a number here, B02004.0. But anyway, there's the cutter right there. This one has never been used. And it says Silberschnitt 2000 on it. I bought this one because I didn't know how long they would last. So I started using this one. And man, I'm about 4 years into this thing. They just last forever. So, pardon me. Let me just grab a sip of water here. All right. And then the old Fletcher 01229. This is great. I like it. It's real light. I don't think many people use these old Fletcher glass cutters anymore. People are using, you know, no disrespect to anybody else. I mean, use whatever works for you. But I've started using this thing 50 years ago and still doing it. All right, so let's do this. Let's make us a pattern. And the pattern will be made. This is a piece I've already been. Why don't we clean that up a little bit? This is a higher quality tracing paper, and it holds up real good for my pattern work. And I've got some more. Where do I want to put this? Put this right over here. I've got some more right here. I just cut off pieces of it. Here's some more right here. Just cut off whatever I need. Okay, so let's do this. Let's, where do we want to go here? I think we'll do this one here. This one first. We're going to need to do this one here pretty quick. Right here. We'll do this one. Right there. I like to get these little pedestal ones, or the ones that are going to be at the bottom of this thing here, where we're going to set these on here. But we can go ahead. Geez, I don't know whether I want to do this one or not. I'll tell you what. Let's do this one. Okay, because this is clear, we don't need a pattern. Oh, look at that. See, now we have a flat edge here. Let me see how flat that is. Nah, not quite. So we're looking for a flat side on this. Just want to get it flat enough to mark. And here we are again. One piece at a time. Okay. Now this is the kind of stuff, if you're going to cut all this in advance, you're not going to get the fit we're going to get with this thing. Now, it's difficult to get these pieces to give us a tail that long. So why don't I think I'm going to go further out here like that and see if I can retain some of that tail on that, because they want to break off, which doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of difference, but because it's going to get covered with foil anyway, let's go further out that way. Now we'll see if that works for us. I don't know whether it will or not. Obviously, with the foil on there, we're not going to see all that, but we can grind back this part if we can just get it to cut that far. What I'm trying to avoid is this thing breaking off up here somewhere. All right, I put a piece of white paper down here so I can see, right? We marked it on the textured side. This is not a real dense glue chip, and this is one called Ocean, and boy is that pretty. I've got another one called Seafoam, and the flakes and stuff for the pattern is even larger, but this is a special glue chip called Ocean. Okay, and I think with this, why don't we use a silver snit on this? We got to put a little oil on it. All right. And we're going to waste glass here anyway. I'm thinking, oh, let's see, let's go where I want to go here. Let's go here. Okay, I'm going to set just on the outside of that line a little bit and try to carry this out as far as I can possibly carry it, because I'm trying to maintain as much of that glass as possible. Now, we may not get much of it. I don't know. Let's go right around here. If we break off in a place that doesn't work for us, we'll cut another one. Now here's where the silver snit runner really comes in handy. I'm not crazy about that. It'll work. Let's see what this is. I'm not happy with any of that. Okay, I got another plan. Well, you know, we overcut that enough. That might work. Okay, let's do this. What I'm trying to do is get a tail on that we can live with. Because wherever, we've got a little bit of an area there, wherever we don't have glass, oh, you know, now, okay, all I have to do is grind this a little more, and I've got a reasonable tail on that. What did I do with that? Here it is. I always talk about these. I bought these are 30, 40 years old. Little plastic thing. I don't doubt you can find anything like that. But here's a long part that would go under a larger piece of glass. And here's this little part right here. I usually just turn it up. You could use a stick or anything else for this. What we're trying to do is just create this curve down here. This is going to be 3/16 foil, by the way, as small as this is. We don't have a lot of small pieces down here. We will up in here. Now we're getting real close to making this work. Okay, I don't know how well you can see this. It wouldn't hurt to grind out a little bit more of this and a little bit more of this. This thing's going to come out perfect. Small piece of glass, but and somebody say, well, you're getting down to absurdity here now. It's small, I will say that, but I'm kind of used to real small pieces and the work that it takes to get them put in correctly. Okay. I see the line right here, and it wouldn't hurt now. We're in a really good spot here to come down and just take a little bit off this right here. I say, well, boy, it's taking a lot more time than I want to take with it. I kind of like just to cut mine, throw them down, and keep going. Well, boy, now there you go. I didn't think that was working to start with. Look at that. All right, now because it's so small, I have, let's pull this down. I have my glass star foiler over there will hold a 7/3, or will hold 2 rolls. Now, if we were going to use a bunch of 3/16, if I get into the center area here, and in fact, you know what? I'm not thinking. I wish I'd set this. I wonder if I need to go ahead and just do that. Why don't we just do that? Don't mind Allie's water bowl here. This, since we're through with the 1/4 inch, because we put the 1/4 inch on this outside, this is the 1/4 inch side of this glass star right here. If you can find one of these on eBay, I'm telling you, this is a marvelous foil machine. I won't just tear that off there, not fight it. Okay. And then you have okay, so see there's a, put that right here. Now, let's just take this. Okay. Anyway, find one of these on eBay. They don't make them anymore. Look at this. Once you get it threaded up. Okay. And this is the 3/16 hub, upper hub. Now that leaves us with the 7/32 on this side and the 3/16 on this side. Look at that. And 3/16, oh, you know what? I hope I goofed around here now, but oh, there it is. I'm bad about setting something down. I don't know what it did with it. Okay, watch how easy this is. This is a small piece of glass. Look at the size of that. Hard to handle, hard to foil, unless you have one of these. Set that glass right in the middle of that thing. And I know this 3/16 is not easy because I've done a lot of it. And if I didn't have this little machine, I would be unhappy. Okay, I'll show you something here in just a second. Now what I need is, I'm always looking, here it is. Put that over there. All right, well, you see how even this is. Got to handle these little ones carefully. Look at that. And that's the beauty. It's not necessarily me as much as it is this fabulous little machine. Okay, now we don't want that to move around. And we want to make sure that we have it in the right place. Okay, so let's take just a tiny bit of how hot I have that. I don't want that thing too hot. There it is. Right there. Okay, so now that's an important piece of glass, and I went ahead and did that because that's going to make sure I get the rest of these right. Okay, so let's do this one. This one, the reason I want to do this one is because we're going to need a pattern. Okay, so all I'm going to do is just pull this glass up just a little bit right here and shove this up under there. There you go. Okay, and I'm going to mark this. There's just no way you're going to cut these in advance and get a fit like we're about to get. And I notice it looks a little bit narrow right there. Now, I don't need to measure that because I can tell it's a little bit narrow. So what I'm going to do, this is the beauty of this one piece at a time again. I'm going to make that line go a little further this direction. I'm going to pick it up here later on and continue out with it so I can adjust at that point too. And I've mentioned this before when I've done this kind of stuff for you to see. I'll make this thing a little bit longer than what I'm anticipating. It's always easy just to grind that off real quick, but if I end up some way or another when I lay this out and cut it, if I ended up with it too short, I can't grow it out. Now, most of the time, if you're not as nitpicky as I am, if you're a little bit short, you just fill it with solder. Well, if you do that with this kind of work, then these lines and these ribbons are not going to line up if you're not right on the money here. So that's why we're going to add this extra little bit of glass right here. And let's put UP on it. Okay. And, oh, we don't have ourselves 100% set up here, but we're about to. Okay, here, let's move this right to here. Here is our cutting mat. These are those self-healing cutting mats. And what they're good for, I think we might get a new blade. I don't know. We'll see if we need a new blade. What these are good for is they don't ruin your blades. So let's go here. Let's go. Oh, this blade's pretty sharp. I'm looking down to make sure you can see what I'm doing. Now, at this point, you can cut inside that line, which is what I'm going to do. And that'll give us the width for the additional, generally give us the additional width for our foil. But you can also adjust that when you're cleaning this thing up and grinding it. UP. Okay, the next thing we want to do, should have done it already. Oop, let's set this down. In fact, let's set it right back here. Set it right there. And let's just strip us off a strip of this emerald green glass. All right. That's what we want. Okay, now I'm going to show you a little something, and you just have to practice this. It's not going to come real naturally to you. Now, most people are trying to figure out how I'm going to mark that so I can see it to cut that thing out of a piece of glass, this pattern. So they're using vinyl and, oh, I just don't know what all. If you're cutting this pattern on this dark piece of glass, I thought, and I bought it, I don't think these things are any good. In fact, I know they're not. Sometimes I need to mark. And so I bought these. I got a half dozen of these Flymax paint marker. That's just junk. Absolute junk. And what you would think, a white paint marker, that you want to come on here and mark this stuff out. When it's working pretty good, but it doesn't work for any length of time, and it's intermittent. You get it to work, it won't work. It floods the area with the white. What I'll do is I'll take the other 4 or 5 of them and throw them away. All right, so what are we going to do here? Well, if you'll train yourself to do this, you're a lot better off. So what I'm going to do is there's be enough room here to get a couple of these, but let's just go ahead and peel us off a piece here to work with. And I'm looking around here on it, and what I'm going to do is, now I kind of prefer to hold this glass cutter like this, but I'm going to hold it this way because I want you to be able to see this wheel. And just hold this thing down with your opposite hand of the one you're right-handed, left-handed, whatever, the opposite hand, and run that wheel right down alongside that pattern. Now you have to practice this, and if you don't practice it, obviously you're never going to be able to do it. All right. Now I've noticed I'm a little tiny bit off, so all I'm going to do is scooch that. There you go. I just scooch that pattern back onto that line, get a little better, and then I'm going to put, while I've got it here, kick this thing over in my hand. That's why these are so beautiful. You can hold them this way. You can hold them this way. All right, now turn it around and do the same thing again. See, now we've got no pattern, no marking to worry about, none of that. So let's just go right here. Now this time we're going to go right up on it, hopefully. And stop. All right, Silversnit, the Wonder Tool. And let's just go ahead. Let's take this off. All right, now the first thing we're going to do is go clean this up a little bit. Just get the burrs off of it. Now what happens to me, maybe the same as everybody else, is when I start one of these projects, and this is the first one that we've used the pattern on in this entire project, I'm pretty good. And then as the hours go by and the days go by, I get better and better and better at hitting the mark. So I don't know how close we are here. I'm certain we'll need some work on this, but we'll see. Ooh, okay. Now here's where we can fix this. It's not in bad shape. It could be better, and I'm going to show you the advantages of the one piece at a time. Down here, we don't have that curl in here that I want. So what we're going to see, that curl, okay? And guess what? We gave ourselves enough room up on this other end that we can fix this in and not lose it up here. So let's give the bottom of this thing a little bit of a curve. And then there may be those that say, oh, geez, I can't imagine going through what we're going through for this piece with this whole thing. Well, then you're just in the wrong craft. Maybe macrame, paint by number, I don't know, something else. Because if you're going to demand of yourself a high level of quality in your finished work, then you're just going to have to put the time in it. That's just the way it works. Oh boy. All right. Now I see a little issue, and I'm going to show you how easy this is to fix. Okay. We still haven't fixed this yet, but I notice that I'm touching the foil here. I have a cavity here, and I'm not touching here. So why don't we fix that? But see, if you really like to do something, you just don't care how long it takes. I don't care how long this takes. Yeah, I swear to you, if it took me an hour to get this piece right, that's how long I'd be here doing it. I just don't care. Because I'm only interested in one thing. Now, what have I done now? I've done something that's not quite kosher here. Okay. I need to take a little tiny bit off right here. It's more difficult to get this precision stuff like this to fit. But when I get through with this, all these lines will line up and it'll look just great. But there's only one way to do it, and that's just knuckle it out. Okay. I'm reasonably happy with that, except we don't have this upper end up here yet. Okay, now here's where I'm going to use my, rather than hit and miss with this, I'm going to take this diamond scribe again, and I'm going to, whoops, look out, buddy. I'm going to take that diamond scribe and I'm going to mark. That's where I want to grind that too. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to see it, so if I don't, I'll mark it with some white paint. I don't see it, so I figured that was going to be the case. Well, you could do it. We can mark it with white paint, or I'd rather mark it, because I don't want to go too far with it. So, I have... Now, sometimes, all I'm interested in now out of this thing, there it is just the white paint. That's all I care about on it. There it is. Now, I can see where I'm going now. And that's about all I'm going to get out of those markers. I was going to throw them away. I'm thinking, oh, well, now, wait a minute. I'll take the white paint. I think we may be a little too curved here. Oh, no. Okay, now, here's what we know. I'm sure everybody knows. See that cartoon line? We're off that cartoon line right there. No big deal, because we're off here, we didn't cut this in advance. So all that's going to mean is we're going to take this piece and we're going to make it a little further where it intersects right there. Because this line does not look too bad. Although... You know, I'm thinking I'm going to... Remember when I added that additional right here? Boy, I'm going to take part of that back out. And the reason I'm so nitpicky with this is that when you're working with these ribbons, they have to line up. Well, I think that's okay. Now I got to decide now if I need to go 3/16 or 7/32. Well, I'd rather go 7/32 if we can. So let's put 7/32 on this. If that looks too wide, we'll carve it off and go with 3/16. But I'd kind of want to go 7/32 on this larger stuff, and then save the 3/16 for the real small stuff. I think I'm about to run out of foil on this particular roll. No, not yet. Okay, let's see what this looks like. This one's if I had to judge this particular piece on a 1 to 10, it's about an 8. And I'm trying, as this day rolls on here, they'll move on up into the 9s. You know, that 7/32 is working for me. Okay, now I'm worried now. Now, let me look here. I gotta have this sweep right here just right. Oh, heck. Well, I'm really gonna have to make a judgment call here. Oh, you know, we're going to have to change that. Now I'm going to see if I didn't destroy that. If we have to put some more foil on the end of it, that's okay. See, you just can't have... That was... When I came around that curve, I hit on the edge of this piece here. And that'll cause you problems when you're trying to get this one put in. But that worked. And see, we'll say, well, wait a minute, why didn't he refoil it? Because he ground off some of the, because he ground off some of the foil right there. No big deal. The solder joint's still going to be the same width because we're going to put this one in here. So all that'll happen is nothing, because it'll still get filled with solder because of this piece. Okay, so let's lock that one down. I might do one more. I don't know how bored. I mean, if it's boring, somebody's not watching this anyway. So I'm trying to teach you or show you how this one piece at a time method works. Let's do this one. See how we're starting now. When I get ready to do this piece over here, I'm going to be looking here. I'm slightly this direction off that line. In other words, we're kind of this right there. Okay. These are very small amounts of correction, but if you want this thing to flow very well together, you've got to take your time and do exactly what I'm doing right here. So let's do this one. Longer. We'll figure out how well this works here just in a second. So let's go right here. Okay. And we're going to add that. I want to add a little of that, remember? Oops. Boy, that's a real key. Real key. You got to intersect this piece over here. Okay, UP. Do I have this marked? Yeah. There it is. All right, let's go over here. And let's give us that little extra tail right there. I wanted to do that right while I'm thinking about it. I was, let me show you. And I usually stack these over here out of the way. This blade, here it is. I was using, this is a X-Acto number 16. So I got low on those. I had about a dozen left or something. You order them 100 at a time. And so I thought, well, I better get some more of these. So I ordered another box of them, a box of 100. And in the box for 100, the box says X-Acto 16. And you open up the box and it's X-Acto 11. This thing. And I went, darn it. I don't want those. And I've never used these before on this work. Darn, there I am again. These are better. These work, this long, slender tip seems to work better for me on this than what that number 16 did. So now I'm shifted to the 11. Anyway, let's cut this out. So we'll save this one because that one could work for one of these shorter pieces. Turn it over to UP. Now, of course, the UP is not pertinent necessarily because either side of this will work. But I'm just very, got myself into the routine of working with the UP. Ooh, I wonder if that'd work. I think that's supposed to be straight. We'll try that. If this line down here is, doesn't work for us, we'll cut another one. But I think it might. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go right here and cut this part first. And then, now I'm going to do this way this time. I'm looking in the camera, make sure you can see what I'm doing. I want to get these out of the way. Now let's give this thing a just dust it off. I'm going to see if that straight line worked. We may have to do that again. I don't think so, but we might. Ooh. Yeah. Gee whiz. I don't, that's not good. Boy. I don't like that. So let's see what's wrong here. Something is wrong. Trying to figure out where I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong right there. Yeah. See, I don't know whether you can see this or not. We're just too narrow down there. Okay. If it's not right, it's not right. So let's go. I'm going to go a different direction this time. Got to have it right. If you start, oh, look out. Well, we're going to probably try to correct for that somewhere down here. If you start integrating your mistakes into your work, I'm just going to give myself a little bit of extra right there to straighten out. If you start integrating your mistakes into your work, you're just setting the wrong standard. Let's try this again. Now, the silver snill will cut that to do that. Now we'll clean that up. I think we're going to be too wide this time, but that's... I can grind it off, I just can't put it back on there. Yeah, you got something that doesn't work wherever that thing went. Here, toss it. It didn't. It's not right. So it's a mistake, and we're all human. We're doing the best we can with this stuff. If you do something wrong, do it again. Or build it again. Okay, now ooh, man. I would be glad when I get into a routine a little better than what I'm doing right now. Okay, I need to clean this area out right here. That's where I went off a little bit. I don't know, for people that have been doing this a long time, they may, I don't know. I don't know anybody that shows, well, there is some guy in England that, but he's cutting on cathedral glass all the time, which is a little bit different than, this is cathedral, which should be easy to cut. Anyway, he's not doing these tiny little pieces like this. Okay. I'm worried about this right here. I got to clean that up. That's out of whack. I still think we're a little wide right here, and we're blown out wide right there. So down here, well, like I said, I get about 15, 20 pieces like this into this thing. You start to get into a routine or a roll with it. Okay, that's starting to look a little better, but not perfect yet. Okay, the length of this thing is fine, so why don't we go ahead and fix that? Okay. It's just not as clean as I want it. I'm looking for it to be nice and uniform. After you start doing this ribbon stuff for any length of time, you start to get an idea of how clean you want them to look. You know, no bumps and ripples, all that kind of stuff. Okay, we're getting close, but I just don't like this little tiny undulation right there. It's still not clean. I just want it just nice and clean. Okay, now we're about to get there. All right. But something is not right. And I wonder, see, now here's what's not right. That's not lining up. So if I would have to, let's see, I'm trying to think of how I can fix that. Oh man. See, I'm too far over here too far there and not far enough there. And you know where the problem is? Right there. Yes, there you go. Now, okay. Now I'm going to have to figure out how to compensate for this. See that? Didn't catch that early on. Now I could loosen that out and get that out of there. I don't really want to do that. See this little hook right here? That thing's gone out over the cartoon, and I did not catch that. And see, that's pushed me out. So I'm wondering if I can, this is a test, I'm going to see if I can grind out just a little bit of this, enough to push me back this way, and then hide that grind out with the solder bead. So now we're getting into, I'm glad you're actually seeing this, because that's a problem. See, because I can't have this going that way. It's got to go that way. And the only way I'm going to get it to go that way, there it is right there. So see, I've got to somehow or another grind this out. Fortunately, I'm too far down that way anyway. So now we got to be really careful. So this pin right now is squirting out white. So I need to be right there. If I don't get this to work, I have to cut this whole piece again. Actually, if I don't get this to work, I'm going to have to seriously consider pulling that up, and I don't really want to do that. Now, I'll show you how I'm going to, if this works, I'll show you how we're going to disguise it. Man, I didn't know I was going to get into all this here. Just want to cut a couple of pieces of well, we're not there yet. Can I? Okay. You know, I don't want to take a chance on doing that without marking, taking another look at it. See what that looks like. I don't usually have to do much of this. Oh man, okay. Now we're moving in the right direction. We only have a hair to go. And we'll line back up. See this? We're really close. So I'm in the right spot. Now I'll show you exactly how we're going to fix this permanently. All right, I want to get I want to look at one. I think I want to touch this thing one more time. Now if I wasn't, well, I'm just funny about this stuff. I got to have it right. I got to have those lines line up. You notice I'm just barely touching this thing because I also have to think about the foil that's going to go around this. Well, we're still not there. I'll know when I get there. All right, we're there. Okay, you see how that lines up now? That's just perfect. Now, before I get too crazy here, we fit there? We fit there. Okay, so now let's fix this. So where we're going to fix it, see there's a little cutout of that thing. And that's all because I didn't look down there and catch that piece right there, just over the edge of the cartoon. Just over the edge. And that right there caused you all kinds of grief. Well, obviously you've seen it, what it did, but you got to be able to, I mean, it's not a computer putting this stuff together. Now I got to hope that the foil, the 1,000th of an inch thick this foil is, doesn't shoot me back out there. If it does, we'll grind on it with the foil on it. And I'll show you how we're going to camouflage this little deal. I don't know whether this does anybody any good and see this stuff or not. I mean, if you're really working to get into this more complex stuff and you're really concerned with how well your fitting is, then maybe it'll do you some good. Okay. This is the back. Now if that foil is messed us up and shoved us back out, we'll fix it. Oh, and it didn't. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to fix this. Now you say, well, you can see what you, and I hope this works. Let me get, here it is. Okay, the rest of this thing, remember I got that line cleaned up. I like that. But if you look down, nobody would see this but us anyway, because I'm pointing it out to you. But you see where this thing juts out? Okay, so all we're going to do... Oh, no, you're not able to see. Okay, you see where that thing... Look at there. See where the foil comes down and juts out of there? Okay, that's obvious to me. I don't like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a... Okay, now guess what? Look at that straight line right there. When we solder that, the bead is straight. And the fact that I've had to cut out a section of this piece right here to make it fit there is going to be irrelevant. Nobody's going to ever be able to see that. And I want you to look down there again. See that line? See how straight that is? We cut off the foil that went out around our repair. And, you know, it's one thing to build this stuff, and it's inevitable that you're going to have problems, things that don't work. And what you got to do is just keep your head. I think I did that. I don't know how many people watching me right now are ones that saw me make that. I had 2 heat cracks on the Cardinal in about 5 minutes on the last Cardinal I did. And I don't get upset. It happened, right? So I just got to figure out how I'm going to fix it. So same thing here. I didn't really want to cut this piece of glass again because it would, and guess what? It wouldn't have done any good to cut it 3 or 4 times because we've got a problem right here. Say, well, if you hadn't tacked all that down, then you wouldn't have that problem. Well, that is a school of thought that you're right, but I can't put this stuff in and make it fit this tight without locking it down and making sure it doesn't move. Somebody say, well, that's why I use pins and all that. Well, fine, you do it whatever way you want to do it. That's fine. I like it locked down, not moving, just like this. Okay, now the next thing, let's do this right now. People want to say, well, what do you do about the flux that's on there? I'm going to show you that right now. Wipe it off. I don't use much anyway. Okay. Well, there you are. You know, every time I have a problem, which is relatively often, I'm glad I'm just stay here and show you how to bail it out. Look at that. That solder bead is going to be just straight as a rail. Nobody ever see or ever know. Well, I won't even remember where we fixed that. And then I got this clean across here. See, so now we have the basis for this thing all lining up, setting up straight, these things intersecting each other, and it's so important that you do what I just did. rather than throw it in there, I think, well, we're off a little bit, but then we come back up here and we try to compensate for it there or just fill it full of solder. Boy, I tell you, that's good. All right. Well, that's all I have. I'll come back in a few days or a day or two or something like that with this. I've got another job that I'm going to have to push this thing to the side a little bit and do this other little job, and I'll probably do some video of that job too. And then we'll jump back into this. I'll do them both at the same time. I'll do some of this and some of that. This is an important little job I have to do. I'll tell you what it is right now. I didn't want to do any more cardinals, and this won't be the same type of deal as the other cardinals, but it's a similar cardinal panel like I've done. But this one has got hummingbird and cardinal in it all at one time. So it'll be different than the other ones, but hey, it's a memorial piece, so I was just going to stay on this thing here till whenever. But the memorial, and I know this guy, so we want to do something real special. So anyway, that's where we're at. Oh, man, I'm so glad I figured out how to do that. I'm glad you got to see it. All right, we'll be back in a day or two. Thank you so much. Bye now.